United with her family after a massive search. I love this. A massive search involving police, coastguards, and a pair of sausage-dangling drones. Fishing for Millie with a sausage there. Well, as part of the 4-day operation to find her on mudflats, searchers resorted to attaching her favourite snack to drones and flying them just out of reach in order to lure her to safety. Everyone's fine now. Sausage a day and all that. Let's just remind you as to our top stories this morning. Reports of growing nerves in Downing Street about the Sue Gray inquiry. But ministers play down talk of Tory MPs revolting. Sky News understands that Downing Street is nervous that the lockdown party investigation could contain damaging evidence which could bring down the Prime Minister. The American singer Meat Loaf has died at the age of 74. We'll have more on that with our arts and entertainment correspondent in a few minutes' time. And COVID restrictions are being relaxed in Wales, with no limits on the number of people who can meet outdoors. The latest figures suggest that more than 1 million people in the UK are suffering from long COVID by the end of last year. But still, not much is known about what causes the symptoms to persist, or indeed if Omicron is itself likely to lead to long COVID. Joining us now in the programme, Professor Paul Garner from the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine, who has himself suffered from long COVID. Professor Garner, good to have you on the programme this morning. Let's start right there. Just tell us your story. When did you contract COVID and when did you realise that the symptoms, the after effects, might be lingering just a little bit longer?
So I developed it in March when the pandemic was starting off in the UK, the herd immunity phase of the government. And I thought it'd be just a simple infection, and yet it went on for months and months and months. And I was terrified, actually. It was very inexplicable. It kept moving around the body. It caused multiple different symptoms and headaches and aches and rapid heart rate. And these symptoms are very, very real, but it's unclear. It was unclear to me at the time why this was happening. Was it a virus that was attacking my tissues, or was it something to do with my immune system? And subsequently, I've recovered, I've worked out and looked at the literature and have a better idea of what I think may be going on.
Well, as a scientist yourself then, Professor, what level of understanding do you think that we now possess about the causes of long COVID, the symptoms of long COVID, the treatment of it as well?
So obviously it's a complex condition. What I have learned in my journey and then subsequently looking at the literature, and this is a field that I work in evidence and talking with colleagues and other people that have managed post-viral syndromes, is that this is not completely new. It's been seen with other coronavirus infections. It's been described in the history books of this long period after the Spanish influenza, which was probably coronavirus, there's these long periods of exhaustion. And what happens, I think, is that the infection kicks off very, very deep protective mechanisms in our body that are designed to protect us. And these get a little bit dysfunctional. So it's a little bit like having an alarm system, a burglar alarm that is permanently alarming it. And it keeps you on alert the whole time and boosts your heart rate and boosts your immune system and causes this dysfunction. So it is an area of medicine that is not well researched around how the brain communicates with the body and how we regulate our alarm systems.
Sure. Professor, we're just about out of time, but I just want to kind of conclude with a few final thoughts from you. I mean, I've been speaking to people with long COVID, since, practically the middle of 2020 in terms of people, and it struck me all the way through that perhaps part of the problem the scientists are having is that the symptoms vary from person to person. What would your advice be to someone who feels that they are in a similar position to where you are and that perhaps the medical advice, the medical treatment they've been receiving hasn't been as successful as that which you've received?
So the medical treatment will help with the symptoms, but do remember that people are getting better. And the fear of not getting better fuels the symptoms. So I am not saying it is all in the head, but try and take some agency. You will not necessarily find a drug to fix it. It will go over time. Look forward to the future and work on yourself in helping damp down the symptoms.
Professor Paul Garner, very pleased that you're on the mend. Also very pleased you could join us this morning. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Time for a quick look at the sport. Hannah is standing by.